Hi, my name is Nicholas St. John. I'm the never get sick again guy. So what I wanted to do is tell you about something that came in the news the last week. E. coli, which is, there's a lot of different versions or different what they call strains of E. coli. And this is a bacteria that gets into your digestive system and it excretes. Now there's various strains of it, but there's a new strain and it gets into your digestive system and can create what's called a Shiga toxin. The Shiga toxin is very poisonous to your digestive system, and that's why typically when you get food poisoning from E. coli, you have these cramps that are just incredibly horrible. Anyway, there's a new strain out that is antibiotic resistant. Now, again, the news media likes things that are sensational because it creates headlines. And to have now an E. coli bacteria that is very threatening to us because there's no antibiotics that it can be treated with. Now, even if you get the other, there's a couple of others, O26, I think, and O157, that if you get them, there is some kind of antibiotics that can be used. I think Cipro is one of them. But even at that, a lot of them are not used antibiotics. They just tell you to keep hydrated because it's going to give you a very severe bout of diarrhea, which can last several days and which dehydrates you. So they'll tell you to kind of tough it out. In some cases, maybe take some Pepto-Bismol or something like that. And just really tough it out and you'll get over it. Now, to me, this is completely, for a guy who says never get sick again, this is completely unacceptable when there is plenty of things you can do. And so one of the things I'm going to cover is what you can do, and it can stop this thing almost immediately in its tracks. Okay, and I'm serious. When I say never get sick again, I mean it. With 8 years of research, I have come to a conclusion, like thousands of other alternative and complementary doctors have across this country, is that if our immune system is strong enough, you will never get sick again. On WebMD.com website, they even have an article about the immune system, which I was able to glean a paragraph off of there, where even in their words, they said that if you have a strong enough immune system, it can deter everything from cancer to the common cold. That's their words, not mine. Now, do they have studies to prove that? Probably not. It's trying to prove a negative. So what we do know is that immune system strength, whether it's from your white blood cells, which are what's called your innate immune system, your initial fighting forces, or if it's the secondary or adaptive immune system, your T cells and B cells, which then get kind of a programming that can go in and do some work to locate and then neutralize a foreign substance or invader. So anyway, when it comes to E. coli, like I said, it excretes this substance called Shiga, and Shiga is really toxic. I'm not sure if it's just the acid levels of it or what's in it, but anyway, it's called Shiga, Shiiga, and it can be very toxic. And so in this case, where the bacteria can't be neutralized by antibiotics, it will replicate at a pretty significant rate and then increase the amount of Shiga that it puts into your digestive system. So what I have run into is that a couple of weeks ago, I was out and eating at a restaurant and ended up with, there was a couple of us. And so about 2 o'clock, we had lunch about 1 o'clock. And about 2 o'clock in the morning, I woke up with stomach cramps. And so I had a bout of diarrhea, and then I wanted to neutralize it. So knowing what I know about sodium ascorbate and its use, I got up and I took some apple juice, some organic apple juice. Santa Cruz is my particular flavor that I like, manufacturer of it. and I put in 4 grams, that's 4,000 milligrams of sodium ascorbate. Now, the brand that I use is this. It's the Now brand of sodium ascorbate. It's pure sodium ascorbate. It's 227 grams. When you pay about $12 or $13 for it, it's very, very, very inexpensive, guys. It works out to be about a nickel, 5 cents per gram. So for 20 cents in the middle of the night, not having to go to the doctor, not having to go to the emergency room, not having to wait, staying in pain for hours and hours and hours, I got up and I took 4 grams of sodium ascorbate, and I also take colloidal silver, because I know colloidal silver has some really great properties. So I took both of those and went back to bed. About an hour and a half later, so whatever the body process is, I ended up with another bout of diarrhea, and once that was gone, I went back to lay back down and went back to sleep. No more stomach cramps, and when I got up in the morning, I was fine. To contrast that, the guy that I got to lunch with had hit him. Now, keep in mind, it hit me about 2 a.m. It hit him about 7. And from my understanding, again, I haven't had a lot of food poisoning type of scenarios, but from my understanding is that if you're going to get food poisoning, it typically hits you in about 2 or 3 or 4 hours. So the fact that it took from about 1 until 7, which would be 6 hours, there were some thoughts that it wasn't food poisoning, but it was maybe a viral infection. Well, either way, if it was a bacteria that was creating Shiga toxins that was making you very sick, or a viral infection, either way, massive amounts of sodium ascorbate and some colloidal silver could be a very strong way to quickly offset and destroy that invader, that foreign invader, into your digestive system. So anyway, he actually takes a couple thousand milligrams of sodium ascorbate a day, which is more than most. You can't hardly eat enough vegetables and fruit to get enough that can really protect you. But anyway, he supplemented with a couple thousand milligrams of vitamin C a day. I think that's really why why it didn't hit him in the first 2 or 3 hours, but did eventually hit him after 6. And so he tolerated it, had a miserable evening and night, and finally went to the emergency room where they basically said, "We think you've got a viral infection. Stay hydrated." And I don't think they gave him an antibiotic, but antibiotics don't do a lot of good against viral infections, which a lot of times when you go to the doctor, they'll give you an antibiotic just because that's what they're typically used to giving you, even though it's not confirmed that it's a bacterial infection. And like I said, when it comes to E. coli, a lot of them don't give you any antibiotics and just tell you to write it out. Well, the next day, I didn't hear from him at all, and he was apparently pretty much out of commission trying to recover from this. My guess is, again, I'm not a doctor, but it looked like because both of us got hit with it at the same day, it looked more like a case of food poisoning or maybe E. coli, and not a virus, although we were together for a little while, so there is a possibility that it was. But either way, you need to have a good way to combat it. So like I said, I have sodium ascorbate. Again, this is a bottle that costs you about $12, $13, $14. It's about 5 cents a gram. I take anywhere between 4 and 10,000 milligrams a day. That's why you can never, if you do that, you never get sick. Instead of having it in the bottle, I actually put it in a glass jar, and so the glass jar is easier to get in and out of with a teaspoon and all that stuff. And the other thing that I do is I have a salt shaker here, and it should, instead of S&P on the salt shakers, this one should have a C on it for vitamin C, because this thing's filled with sodium ascorbate. And everything that I do, that I cook and I put salt on, I also sprinkle it with sodium ascorbate. So I always have ways to get more sodium ascorbate into my system. Now, what's interesting is that if you have kids, you can give them the tablets, the chewable tablets, and that's great. And if you have a salt shaker with sodium ascorbate in it, it has no taste. You can put it on almost all your foods, and it's fine. So anyway, it's that's the way that if you get E. coli, again, there's been a number of outbreaks. There's going to continue to be outbreaks, and whether it's unfortunately, Chipotle took a big hit on their restaurants because it was a strange deal with Chipotle because it was not in a concentrated area. It was in 9 different states, 71 cases. There was one here in Kansas up in Overland Park. One person out of a restaurant where probably hundreds of people ate ended up with an E. coli infection. Now that just doesn't, if you think about that, why did the other several hundred not get sick? Well, could it be because this particular person, and they didn't tell us whether they were on immune suppressive drugs because they had a transplant or they were doing chemotherapy or any number of things that can destroy your immune system. They didn't tell us what that was, but the chance is that if you were to look at it, and if there was a way to measure the level of the strength of an immune system, my guess is the one person who got sick from E. coli in the restaurant up here in Overland Park had a very, very, very weak immune system, whether it was done on purpose through medication or they were autoimmune deficient or whatever the number of things are that they had. But anyway, it was strange that very few people got it. So when you start looking at the number of people who probably ate at the same establishment that didn't get sick, it would, again, support the idea of what I say when you don't need to get sick. Never get sick again is my mantra, and you're going to hear that. So pass this on. If anyone's afraid of this, of E. coli, which you should be, it can be devastating, and stomach cramps are one of those things where you kind of curl up in a ball and wish it would just, end, or someone put you out of your misery. So, but you don't have to. You can take sodium ascorbate. Again, this isn't toxic. You can't OD on it. Yes, it can give you diarrhea, but if you already got stomach cramps, you're going to have diarrhea. At least getting this into your system so it can neutralize the bacteria or the toxins that it's creating, like Shiga, the better off you'd be. So pass this information on to everyone that you know, and I'm going to be doing more of these broadcasts. I finally figured out a way to get information enough to have something to go through. Always felt like I didn't have any valid information that I could really pass on to you that was significant, but I'm going to be doing these on a regular basis. Please pass this information on to everyone you know. Tell them that even if you get food poisoning or stomach cramps, something like that, at least start with sodium ascorbate even before you go. Even if you're dead set on going to the hospital, sodium ascorbate, you can take this before you go in, and perhaps it will help start alleviating some of the symptoms so you don't have it for nearly as long. Like I said, even if you go to the emergency room or go to your doctor, at least get some of this stuff in your system. I'm telling you, it will help you immensely. So anyway, I want to thank you for being here. Again, pass this information on. I'm going to start posting this stuff on Twitter and Facebook. You can come to my Never Get Sick Again Facebook page. My website is viruswhisperer.com, and I'll post this on there as well. But please pass this on. We can take back our healthcare. We need to have a revolution, and we can take back our healthcare. And the best way to do it is to not get sick in the first place. So teach them a lesson. Don't get sick. So never get sick again isn't just a fantasy. We have enough information now and a way to treat a number of things besides just somebody giving you a shot or another pill. So this is Nicholas St. John. Never get sick again. I'm the Virus Whisperer. Thanks for tuning in.